It's been a long time since I've made a video on my YouTube channel, and in this year's my New Year's resolution would be I'd be as consistent as I can because officially I'm a graduate and I'm actually applying for a work. So as much as possible, I'll try to be as productive as I can as a content creator on this platform of YouTube and producing at least once a week. And what about you guys? What would be your New Year's resolution of this year of 2024? This video I'll be discussing and explaining. If you haven't been actually quite noticing that I have noticeably gained some cleavage action, some upper pec gains in the last couple of months, last year of 2023. I've made some significant gains on my upper pecs and even probably on my front delts because uh, today's topic is on how I finally grew and I will continue to keep growing my upper chest, and here's how and why. The first tip that I would give to you on how I finally grew or how I finally had to grow my upper pecs is I prioritized my overhead and vertical pressing. And in the past few years, even when I started my weightlifting journey, even my calisthenics journey, I neglected my overhead so much that noticeably, I had a noticeable imbalances in relation to my uh, vertical and horizontal strength, pressing strength ratio. What I mean by this, I had very overdeveloped chest, but my front, well, not my front delts only, my overall delts and my overhead vertical pressing was very weak. So I would have a very strong bench press, a strong push up, as I've previously been telling you on some of my previous videos, and I neglected my overhead pressing. So a lot of overhead barbell, dumbbell, handstand push-ups, spike push-ups. I never did them because they were so difficult. So uh, consequently, my upper pecs and even my delts suffered. So I will probably show some pictures of uh, what my front delt and my upper pecs used to look like compared to now. When you prioritize them in your current program, like what I am doing right now, your upper pecs will grow and your front delts will follow. Then the next tip that I did on growing my upper pecs is also prioritizing front delt work. Either do tons and tons on incline to vertical press and even doing some isolation work because I am now a firm believer that no stones should be left unturned. And what I mean by this, it's a metaphor that you should not be a minimalist. That kind of mindset will actually stall and even lead you to some negative effects down the line. For example, you would plateau shortly after and possibly get injured, have some imbalances, and so on and so forth. So, doing isolation work on your front delts and just overall doing some incline to vertical presses. So, whether it could be incline dumbbell, barbell presses, some vertical presses. So, again, some standard overhead pressing, whether it could be standing or seated. If you want to accumulate more volume in terms of bodybuilding, I actually prefer the seating version. And of course, again, isolation work, do some front tilt raises. Could be whether it could be in a variation used in a variation using dumbbells, the universal exercise in doing front delts, in growing the front delts. You can actually I actually prefer the cable machines because of the I like the resistance path and resistance curve that the cable machines provide in terms of doing front races with a cable machine. The third reason that I would like to give to you, if you happen to stumble upon my channel in terms of growing my upper pecs, and luckily if you would like to grow your upper chest as well, you should do heavy dumbbells or barbell incline presses. Pick your poison. I would actually prefer dumbbells because years of nagging pains and injuries on my wrist, specifically actually both. When I do barbell incline presses, it actually hurts my wrist and even my elbows. So heavy dumbbell incline presses are actually my go-to favorite in terms of doing a heavy compound lift that would specifically target both my upper pecs, obviously the whole chest muscle, but my main target would be the upper pecs, and of course hit some of those front delts as well, and actually do some deep stretch dips to also keep in mind. And a quick disclaimer, in terms of doing dips, you have to be very careful because the deep stretch part and component of the movement is actually very dangerous, and you could actually it could lead to some pec tears. It could be either a muscle or a tendon tear, but be careful. My standards in doing the deep stretch dips safely is you have managed to do them half reps, so you do a repetition of a dip in just then it in a 90-degree angle. If you happen to do a 90-degree angle dip for up to 12 to 15 repetitions, then it would be very viable if you would try at least doing at least 5 repetitions of deep stretch dips. And I would also recommend doing heavy weighted dips. Also, be careful with that. Quick disclaimer, be very careful in doing deep stretch dips. The fourth tip that I would like to share to you that made my upper chest, that started to grow my upper chest, you never neglect machine work too. Specifically, use hammer strength machines if you don't feel your upper pecs. For a very long time, there has been a stigma around social media fitness that if you use machines, you're weak, you're a wuss, so on and so forth. So, of course, I fell victim to that type of stigma. I neglected the hammer strength machines most specifically. If you happen to have, if your gym happens to have those types of machines, especially the inclines, oh man, take advantage of it, abuse it, use it whenever you can because in terms of volume and frequency, you can actually feed your muscles, your upper chest and front delts, a lot of volume in terms of doing a lot of incline pressing with those types of machines. So break the stigma, especially if your main goal is bodybuilding. Never neglect those machines because the time that I actually started to use the hammer strength machines, they actually noticeably my upper pecs started to grow, and obviously, if you haven't seen, even my front delts too. So it's a win-win situation, and you can rotate it on your dumbbell or heavy barbell incline presses. So as to again feed your muscles a lot more volume, and your stable your stabilizer muscles would actually take a little quick break if you rotated your upper chest work with the hammer strength machines. Then the last tip that I would like to give to you in terms of growing your upper pecs. You should do your vertical presses first before your horizontal presses, like your normal bench press, whether it could be using dumbbells, barbells, machine, or even just bodyweight push-ups or weighted push-ups. Because when you're fresh and you're just warmed up, you would be very motivated to go full ham. You're ready to go full on beast mode on feeding your uh, feeding your incline vertical presses a lot of volume and frequency, because obviously I'm a gym bro at heart, and I used to love bench press, but I I rarely seldom do some type of horizontal presses, although I actually like to do weighted push-ups now more than bench press, because again, the years of over because of the accumulated injuries over the years, because of I tend to favor push-ups now more than the normal bench press or even dumbbell bench presses, because of my history of overuse injuries, especially on my wrist, on abusing tons and tons of heavy bench presses. It took a toll on my wrist and even my elbows, so I actually preferred push-ups now, especially using parallettes or even using the rings, as to have the freedom and capacity to do more variations on push-ups. So my concluding verdict on today's video: you never neglect your overhead or vertical pressing. Prioritize front delt work. Um, Prioritize also doing heavy compound lifts on your upper chest work, whether it could be a heavy dumbbell or a heavy barbell incline press. Never neglect machine work. And lastly, uh, do your vertical presses first before your horizontal pressing. So that would be for today's video. If you happen so likely to stumble upon this video and on my channel, like this video, drop a comment down below. What do you think of my tips? And if you have some upper chest work tips and techniques you would like to share, comment it down below, share it. Subscribe if you haven't or not. Uh, so that would be it. Um, this would be my first video of this year of 2024. Again, I would like to be just as consistent as I was back then in terms of creating more content. And thank you for watching and have a good day.